Okay. Well, great. So one attendee here today. Thanks, Vas, again for inviting me. So one attendee here today is Terence, who is our COO. So I thought it'd be good to have him here as well to sort of understand how X culture
Oh,
works in
so
order for us
Terrence
to
is one of
support.
your, okay, yeah, I'm adding, I
Yeah.
didn't realize that Terrence is one of the company representatives, okay.
Yeah. So in general, we the name of our project is Salad Ventures, and we are we're a blockchain company, and we are what we focus on is we focus on play to earn, on the play to earn aspect of blockchain. And what play to earn is basically now there are a lot of blockchain games that allows you to play those games, and also earn sort of in-game currencies, which are cryptocurrencies, which then allows you to cash them out later on. So the main thing that we're doing here at Salad Ventures, and you'll see if you go to our website, we've refreshed it recently, listing three things that we're working on. One is an actual guild, so a guild of players who are under our employment, who are then given accounts in the games they play, and then we pay them a salary, and we take whatever revenue that we get from their efforts. The second product that we have is this product called Guild OS. Guild OS is a product that literally is what it is. It's an operating system that will allow anybody who wants to start a guild into a play to earn. So basically, anyone who wants to put some money and hire some players to play for them. That's sort of described as a guild. Guild OS will allow anybody to create a guild, manage a guild, and scale a guild very, very, very easily. And then thirdly is this product that we call Salad Academy. Salad Academy focuses on training and certifying players in the field of play to earn and in the field of blockchain gaming. So this would be sort of first version number one of Salad Ventures, where we tackle the creating a method for this play to earn madness, because as we all know, in the world of cryptocurrency, it's everything is decentralized, everything is all over the place, and it's very messy. And we believe that the solution that we're trying to create is this method in a madness. Version one would tackle play to earn. After that, there is a huge potential for us to expand into other X to earn, Y to earn, Z to earn industries or different verticals. So, for example, now it's play to earn. So we hire people, they play games, blockchain games, and they earn some stuff for the proprietor, right, the guild owner, and then they get paid something. There could be other forms of X to earn, Y to earn, Z to earn, where, for example, if somebody wanted to, I don't know, let's say, let's say, Vas, you're an investor and you want to launch your own range of NFTs, right? But you're not an artist. I assume you can't draw very well. But you need to sort of have something like that, right? But you have some funds that you want to deploy to launch a range of NFTs for yourself, because it's a profitable thing to do, for example. So what it could do, it could eventually be an art to earn or design to earn, right? Where you would sort of put out an RFP, a request for work, really, and then someone else who is a very brilliant artist could then trade their time and their skills and in return to getting paid, right, to produce something for you in the blockchain world, or even if it's outside of the blockchain world, it is also very much possible. So think about Upwork, think about freelancer.com, think about Fiverr. These are sort of job labor marketplaces that are very centralized. They are very fixed, and they pay in fiat. The interesting thing is that, if you read about the US news in the US, like the last 4 or 5 months, right? Everyone's talking about the great resignation, where people are quitting jobs. And the way we believe our thesis is that the old way of work is dead. People sort of are happy to sort of trade their skills, trade their time to work in a flexible way, which is why there are these organizations called DAOs, DAOs, right? Decentralized autonomous organizations that sort of popping up all around in the blockchain space. But one problem with DAO, even though it's sort of like trying to get people to come together to do something, to congregate around a certain cause, It's typically it's a few things, right? One is it's one course, it's a main course. Like we are all cat lovers, so we join this now and we support cats. Um, and another problem with that is that it is because it is so decentralized and so autonomous. Um, there is no fixed way to sort of ask for work to be done, get the work done, and then get paid. It's so decentralized. It's everywhere, good and bad. So what Salad is trying to build here in our project is we're building a decentralized organization, not a decentralized autonomous one. And the difference there is we are very centralized. We are very much centralized. There are a lot of systems, a lot of processes that we have doing what we do. And this allows us to do things sort of properly and scale it very greatly. And since I got onto this program, we have got we were at the time we were just sort of starting out and we were looking at getting investors and thinking and all that. And the reason why I was sort of a little bit delayed for this call was because I just got off the call with somebody else in Switzerland. We've not announced this, and we don't plan to announce this anytime soon. But we've closed our first seed round at a $25 million valuation since we last spoke, and massively oversubscribed in this round.
That's a big deal. I mean, you're talking about that so casually, but this is a very big deal. I mean, the investment. You talk about it as if it's something, like minor, but it's a big deal. So yeah.
Yeah. So
Congratulations.
so
Yeah,
we,
that's
thank
that's
you.
an exciting
So yeah, so we did that, and the reason why we were able to do that and still have sort of like a short queue, a small queue outside of our doors, right? Because we don't want to sort of over dilute ourselves and sell too much, especially at this seed round. Is because I believe that the problem that we're trying to address is big. It is not a very technically complicated problem to solve, but I think it is it is a very systematically complicated problem to solve. How do we organize starting from play to earn, right? For the purposes of this project, forget about everything else, X, Y, Z to earn. Just talk about play to earn. How do we, and these are some things that I've included in our challenge document. How do we find games to onboard to join us, right? To partner with us. In this case, how do we get them to onboard themselves into, let's say, onto Seller Academy? Give us some details, give us some data, give us some documents. Let us create a course around their game and how to do well in the game, and then obviously partner with us to promote that education content. How do we onboard new games onto our Guild OS platform? Right, whereby if somebody wants to play the game, they just go straight to the game website and they just create an account and they play. But if they wanted to create a guild for a game and they want to have 20 players, 30 players, 50 players working for them in 10 minutes, you do that on Guild OS. But in order for us to be able to offer that game as a service, then we obviously need to have partnership, right? How do we entice these games to come in to partner with us? And then at the first product, our guild, how do we find the best players who's willing to really give their all in order to make us more in order to make the guild stronger, more profitable over time, and whatnot. So there are a lot of how questions, I think, that can be asked. And I know some of the students. Actually, quite a number of students have reached out, which is why I've asked to
Yeah.
to be able to come on a call. Because there are some repeat questions, but there are a lot of questions that are quite different. And the reason why I felt that I wanted to address it in this call is because a lot of the answers that I will give is not public information at the moment. So we plan to share a lot of these things over time or just before Christmas. So from now to then, this is sort of a some people say we're in stealth mode, but we're not in stealth mode, we're in build mode. And the last thing I want is to be sort of sharing too much information, get too many people excited, and then everybody wants to have a call, and then I'm always running late on two meetings now. It's just something that we're trying to avoid at the moment. Yeah, I mean, so one of the one of the investors who's in this round is the founder of this website called wikihow.com, who's actually a very silent crypto investor, and in many businesses as well. So as we all know, like if you want to know how to change the battery of your car, and you search for that on Google, you'll probably end up with a WikiHow article, right? So Jack Herrick is with us, and we have quite a few very silent but very prominent crypto native people whom we've also let into this round. And just before this call, we've also the last person that we let into this round is it's basically the owner of a Swiss family office, who manages about $1 billion worth of investments in crypto. So we have very interesting people who surround us, who's obviously able to help us and suggest a lot of things to us. But I sort of hoping to get some input and some more creative ideas that are non-crypto native, which is why hopefully some of the students can help on that front.
Yeah, yeah. Very interesting. It's a fascinating business, and obviously crypto in general, but especially the way you use it, because the business is not crypto trading, it's much more. But anyway, there are a bunch of questions here. So there is a question from Arlene. What are some of the risks that players are exposed to in the volatile cryptocurrency markets? So
Yeah, okay, Arlene. So, what are some of the risk players are exposed to in the volatile crypto markets? This is part of my initial thesis because most other guilds, as we call ourselves, right, for the basically a group of, I mean, someone who owns an organization that hires these players, so we're called guilds, right? Um, so one of the things that I took issue with very early when I first started this is I didn't like the way that the players were paid. The typical way that guilds pay their players is to share with them a percent of the game tokens that they get from playing. So it could be 70%, 70, 30, 60, 40, 50, 50, whatever, right? But they share that and they pay that. The reason why I took issue with that is because I think if this is play to earn, these people actually want to, I mean, they need the money, right? So if you pay them in the underlying game tokens and it turns out to be a complete fraud, or the token just dumps and the price just halves or becomes a tenth of what it originally is, then this guy just basically wasted his time with you. And assuming you pay them monthly, and most of them do, we pay our players weekly. If you pay them in the underlying tokens, they have full exposure to the tokens. I don't think it's fair because the players are not sophisticated. If they're not sophisticated and they only want to make some money, why should they be exposed to the market? So the way we pay is very different. Firstly, we pay them in US dollars and we give them brackets. So if they hit this quota, we pay them X dollars. They hit this quota, we pay them X dollars. The quota is equivalent to the amount of, let's say, points or the amount of game tokens that they are able to earn as they play, right? So the better they play or the longer they play, obviously the more tokens they earn, therefore they hit a higher quota, therefore we pay them more. But we pay them in US dollars regardless of the price of the underlying token. Why? And we do that because we are sophisticated investors. We should know, and we should know better, I think. If we wanted to take a bet on a game, we are also obviously betting on the underlying token. And we would have our own sort of risk measures where we decide if we stop playing this game completely because, the tokenomics for this specific game no longer makes sense. But that would be our decision to make. But for the scholars, we pay them based on work done. You do this amount of work, you get this amount of tokens, you get paid this amount of dollars. That's it. And any downside risk is ours, obviously. Likewise, any upside gain is also enjoyed by our team.
So as Bitcoin is gaining value, you are sort of winning, but when it dropped from 64 to about 29 a few months ago, that was your essentially loss at that time, I assume, right?
Quite possibly, yeah. But obviously, the way we manage this institutionally is we would be able to invest in a lot of derivatives, right? That allows us to hedge the delta. So we could short futures, we could buy put options, for things that we may not want to be sort of overly exposed to. But there is also a reason, and that's why in my challenge documents, right, picking the right game partner is very important. I'll give you another example. Just recently, there was a game that was they were going to launch some NFTs to the public. But because I've been building relationships with the founders for quite a while, and Terence has helped a huge amount in that deal, we got allocated a very nice chunk of the NFTs before it was launched at a pre-launch price, in a sense. The moment it was launched, a day or two later, the value of the NFTs that we got is 10 times in 2-3 days. We did nothing but talk and build that relationship. Right. So obviously now we're going to invest more. And then we're talking to some other games as well. And we're doing the same deal. And how do we do it? If you go to our YouTube and you search for Salad Ventures, you will see that we create a lot of videos. Most of our initial videos were about this game called Axie Infinity because that is the main game that everyone's playing, and we're big into Axie as well. But we're launching we're launching content around other games. And those are the value that we give to these games because they're game developers. They have no time for content. They have no time for recording videos. They have no time for anything, right? But my co-founder Wesley, is a professional MC in the event scene. I've known him for a decade, and he enjoys being in front of the camera, creating content, and doing all that. So that's how we sort of made this barter trade, right? With these game companies, we says that you need content, you need exposure. We may not have that huge of a reach, but we can create very, very quality content, and we're happy to do it for free. So we start with this. But what other ways can we what else can we do for these game companies that we're interested in partnering with, right? In order to attract them enough to say, okay, you guys are in, we're treating you as partners now, and whenever we have before we launch anything to the public, we always do it. Everyone does a pre-launch, right? It's like a pre-IPO kind of thing, and then that is shared only in within a partner's circle of that specific game company. How do we get number one? How do we find these companies? And how should we approach them? What can we do for them? How can we help? What kind of help do they need? That we can give in order to give us the edge to build this relationship. How do we give first? What do we give? I think these are very important questions to build that partnership.
Very much so, yes. There are several questions related to your players, and so I'll group them because it's probably better to answer them as a combination. So Arlene Mark is asking, what are some? Hinali is asking, how much do scholars get paid by the hour or by the token? And I think you answered some of that. And there was also a question, what are the age groups of the current scholars on board? Do scholarship, would it have to be 18 years or older? So can you tell us more about how you recruit those people? What are the conditions and how this whole
There is no conditions. There's no conditions by way of age group, gender, nationality. We don't care. As long as you take our certificate and you pass the quiz, so we have a 80% minimum pass mark, right? So you take our
it's like a
certificate,
selection test?
yeah, it's a selection test, and then you take an IQ test and a personality test. You pass these tests, you're in, that's it. And then if you're in, you know the requirements. You miss the requirements, you're out. Simple. How much do they get paid? So we pay them in brackets. So at this stage, we pay so there are sort of two brackets, right? We pay them that's either $20 a week, 43 brackets, sorry, $20 a week, $40 a week, or $60 a week USD. To play like 3 hours of games a day. So obviously, in order to get 60, you gotta hit our highest weekly bracket, and that's another difference. We pay our scholars weekly, because we already have we already have the tokens. We can't cash out so quickly. We gotta sort of take some time. It takes 2 weeks sort of to cash out, right? But now, so then it's about float, right? Like if you run this as an actual organization, as an actual business, then you need to have some kind of cash flow. It's like paying your supplier first before you get paid by your customer. If you draw that kind of parallel. So the scholars have done their work. They have already sort of hit the targets that you asked them to hit. Then you should pay them. We can't pay them daily because it just administratively doesn't make sense, right? But you pay them weekly. They're okay, right? It's you talk about creating social impact, and then you pay them once a month because you can only pay them after you have cashed out and after you have drawn out the tokens from their accounts, and then you've cashed out into USD, and then you send it to a bank, and then it's just like, just pay them. They've done the work. It's there. It's your account. You have full control. Pay them. So that is why that is also what we use to sort of attract
Felix, I think your microphone got muted. We just lost you a second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Back.
Yeah. So that is why we get to attract better scholars, right? And at the same time, that is also why we are able to be so strict with our requirements. And that is why we can say, if you don't meet our requirements, you're fired and you're gone. That's it. You're finished. You're never coming back. Imagine if we were paying them monthly, we were paying them in the tokens, we were, so many things we're not giving them, right? Yeah, we would not have been able to also demand for the best. So I think these things are something. So it's not hourly, Hanali. It's really proof of work. Really, they do the work.
So it's you eat what you kill, so to speak, right? So yeah, so very interesting, and that makes sense. I think that's better than by the hour. So the outcome, is there much difference in the sort of skill of the players? I mean, do some players produce better results after an hour of playing than others, or everybody is about equally productive per hour?
No, it's very different. It's very, very different. Yeah. But well, I guess the million, or in this case, the $1 billion question is, how do you tell the difference before you engage? I don't know. Yeah. Like we're trying everything: IQ, personality, aptitude, amplitude.
Reaction time, motor skill.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Not sure. But I guess we'll soon know.
There is a question from Sharmila Lee. Do section commanders receive a different or additional payment just by being section commanders, or only get paid only?
Yeah,
so you
great question. Right? Yeah, yes, good question. Perfect. That means, so I've seen some questions that are probably not answered because there are, you could just YouTube and search some videos, right? Because those are two basic questions. I mean, overly basic already. Shamila's question: do section commanders? Yes, they do. And they receive a fixed $350 salary per month, and as you know, that's $100 more than a regular Filipino pay, because 100% of our scholars currently are Filipino still. So they receive $350, and they don't need to meet any targets. They are just there, and their job is to, the responsibility is to ensure that their sections or their squads, right, continue to perform. They have to train them, they have to rehearse, they have to practice with them, they have to do whatever they need to do with them in order to maintain the average SLP generated by their squad, by their section. Now, if they are constantly at the bottom of the section ranking, if their section is always at the bottom of the section ranking, then we will demote them. And they will lose this privilege. So it is a huge privilege, not having to be obviously pressured to hit those targets, right? And then yet getting paid so much more than everybody else. So that's what we do. Then right now we're on track to to bring on board probably another 800 to 900 scholars by Christmas. So which is why a bit it's keeping all of us up at night. Just making sure we're making the right decisions. But we because of this, now we've promoted 30 of our scholars to also become section commanders. So now we have like 40-ish, about 40 section commanders. And these 40 section commanders will then obviously, they will have new scholars, incoming scholars replaced under them. And then the original section commanders that we had are now promoted to platoon sergeants. So very similar to the Singapore Army.
You have a very interesting structure. I mean, it is like a guild or an army unit. Yes.
It's an army, yeah. Yeah, so the PS, so the platoon sergeants would manage, I believe, four section commanders. So the PS will manage 4 setcoms. The setcoms will then manage like up to 12 scholars in each of their sections. Then the platoon sergeants will get a pay raise. So we're intending to raise them, which is why this video shouldn't be public yet, because we haven't announced it. But we're planning to increase the platoon sergeant's salary to $450, which is now almost twice of that of a regular person's salary in the Philippines. And their responsibilities then would then simply be to manage the section commanders, because the scholars are under the charge of the section commanders themselves. So that's how we do it. And we don't pay them in SLP. We don't pay them based on their SLP. We pay them, as I explained, based on I mean, literally, it's a job. Like
It
you're
is a
hired to do
job,
this
yeah.
job, get the
Yeah,
job
I
done.
assume
Yeah.
scholars, they basically just play for fun and make some money in the process, right? But once you become a platoon commander, that's a job. Now you are responsible for people who may depend on you for their livelihood. So I think you cannot shirk anymore. So that's
Yeah. So above a scholar is a section commander, and then above a section commander are platoon sergeants.
platoon, yeah, yes, yeah. Yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, so the ones, who are in
And then it keeps
command,
going up. Yeah.
right, at that time, people depend on you, so I think it's not just fun anymore. So you become essentially manager. There is another question from Sharmila. How much investors, I think how many investors does Select Ventures currently have? And what is the average approximately return on investment? I'm not sure if you're even, at liberty to disclose that kind of information, but if you can tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about the structure of ownership of your company, just in general terms, that would be nice.
Yeah, the structure will work. I mean, the number of investors, I um I need to relook at it again. I think I'd say there about the 10 last minor, maybe just under 10, I would say. There are some VC funds and there are some angel investors who have been led into this realm. In terms of the structure, I think ROI is the wrong question to ask, because this is it's a different um, it's a different type of investment when you invest into a crypto project. There are two ways a crypto project can raise money. One, you sell equity like a regular startup that who's probably somewhere in one of the other X Culture Challenge companies as well. We're not raising investments by selling equity. We raise investments by selling tokens. So as a crypto project, we can also launch our own tokens. And what we sold in this round is sort of is what they call a sale of future tokens. So if you Google sale of future tokens contracts, SAFs, SAFTs, that's sort of what we did, and that's what all crypto projects do. And what that means is we're basically selling them a warrant to buy these tokens when we launch them in the future. And when we launch them in the future, then that effectively, I guess in the regular sense, it's sort of going public, right? So our token sort of is going public, it goes public when we launch our tokens, and that's when the investors sort of get to sell some of their tokens to get to cash out a little bit, as much as they need or as much as they want. Most investors don't cash out and don't sell for at least 5 years or more after the tokens have gone public, which means when it goes public, then that means everyone here in this room and everyone participating in X Culture today can literally buy a seller token when it goes public. And I mean, knock on wood, that would probably happen by this time next year.
So the investors, are they involved in your business at all, or they're purely just, here is my money, and then at some point I want to get more money back, essentially? Or are they more like venture capitalists who are heavily involved in the business, trying to help in every way, sort of are on the board? So how close are the relationships with the investors? Are they more like anonymous investors or close partners?
They are no, not anonymous at all, which is why it took me quite a while. It took me probably about 6 weeks from the first pitch to today, where sort of everything's paid up. But it could have taken me, I don't know, 2 weeks, if not less, to have everything paid up if I just took every single cent that was thrown at me. So I took my time to talk to these investors and to sort of try and figure out how they can help. These are VCs, these are venture investors, these are venture funds who can be as hands-on as I need them to. And for the angels, it's the same. The angel investors the same. So it's not a hands-off thing. I mean, they can be hands-off, but I actually expect them to be hands-on because there are a lot of I'm still, relatively new to this. I just make it look easy. It's not.
I can imagine.
Just still quite new, which is why I have Terence helping me. Terence has been in the crypto space, also Singaporean. He's been in the crypto space for, I don't know, like 5-6 years or something, like 7 years maybe even. So that's why I've sort of begged him to be my COO for this thing. And yeah, so the investors are expected to work for their returns and work for their money. In terms of ROI, you're looking at, I don't know, but typically when you invest in a crypto project this early, you're looking at 100 times return, 1,000 times return on your money when the project lists its tokens publicly. So ROI in terms of like, oh, it's, I don't know, like 10% per year annualized, and like whatever you learn in finance, it's completely irrelevant in the crypto space. Yeah, so it's not like I'm trying to avoid the question. It's just that there is no sensible answer to that. If I said the ROI was 1,000 times, that would make no sense to anyone. But yet that happens in the crypto space.
Are the risks sort of comparatively high as well? I mean, yes, the potential to get times 100 times 1,000, but is the risk to lose everything also equally high, or not necessarily?
Yeah.
Like, for example, we
It's
all
like
know, like a couple of weeks ago, the squid, what is it? The squid crypto.
good game.
For a while, that squid cryptocurrency was the deal, in the morning it was growing like crazy.
Yeah.
And then by the end of the day, it basically just flopped. So is that a
Yeah.
common occurrence? Is it always a risk, or?
That is, I mean, I hope none of you all lost any money in that. That was an amazing project. I love it. I mean, the way it was marketed, the way it was executed, where, there's nothing, everything was fake, and it's just so beautifully packaged. And they managed to rock everybody of so much money in such a short amount of time. Yes, it does happen. Does it happen very often? I don't think so. And I would sort of I'd say draw a parallel to venture investing. If us you, I mean, let's say maybe you're an angel investor to a few business startups and all that, around, I mean, based in the US. I wouldn't be surprised if you were. Um, what's the risk? It's huge.
Yes.
Like, could you lose everything? For sure. Of course you could.
In fact,
Yeah.
I expect to lose probably 8 out of 10 completely, maybe 1
Yeah.
out of 10 hopefully break even, and then the hope is that there will be 1 in 10 who will, overshadow all those losses and hopefully will lead to some profits. So, but yeah, not only it is possible, it is expected in most of the cases.
Therefore, someone like yourself will make a very good angel investor in the crypto space because you get it. And so there is no ROI. It's like, how many times my money can I get back after, let's say, 5 years, 6 years? And then what do I need to do to help this business or help this crypto project, right? Get there sooner, get there faster. Or how do I decrease the risk of this? Call me, text me, call me, send me a Telegram message, hop onto a call with me once a week. Then I'll you know what's going on. You know how I, how we are progressing, the people that we hire, that you kind of know, and then you help, and then the more you help, the lower your risk. That's sort of how it works.
How is the money investment or money that you receive from the investors? How is it used? Is it just to hire more scholars, or there are some other expenses that you need to cover in order to grow?
There is, yeah. So we're increasing our full-time team. So we have Terence on board as COO. We're currently talking to a potential interim CMO. We also have a part-time CTO, and we've given him a pretty comfortable budget to hire his development team. We've got 4 developers now on the team. Marketing, I just spoke to the guy. We're hiring probably 2 plus the part-time CMO, I suppose, for now, who's not doing it for free or love for friendship. It's they need to get paid. And we are also spending quite a bit on infrastructure, right? So obviously we're building these tech products. We need to test a few things. We need to run a few servers and databases and all that. There's cost there. We are what else are we allocating? Investing in these deals. Remember, I told you about these other games that offers us sort of like a pre-listing partnership type of deal. So we invest in these deals, in these games also. In fact, even before we closed our run, we've already invested more than 6 figures, about 6 figures, actually invested 6 figures worth into these games. Yeah, so we there is a lot of smart way to deploy the capital in order to build this crypto project as a real business, as a real company.
Yeah. There was a question that I missed and I need to go back to it. So when you hire people in the Philippines, Do you need to create a register a company there, or is it done directly between you and the individuals?
It's done directly between our entity and the BVI and the individual in whichever country they are in.
Mhm. Another question from Hinali. On average, sorry, there was another one coming back to the organization, Jeremy. How many scholars, section commanders, and sergeants do you currently have? If you, again, at liberty to disclose those numbers.
Yeah. The reason why I'm not sharing these numbers now is because when you ask me next week, it will change.
Right.
Yeah, but I would say whatever the report is about, assume that we have let's say 800 scholars, 32 section commanders, and 8 platoon sergeants. So based on those kind of numbers, because once we revisit this again, that's the numbers that we're going to be at. Then there's no point in planning for a smaller number.
Mhm. So, but yeah, it's already in thousands. I mean, in hundreds, triple digits. Yeah. On average, how long does it take to acquire, I assume, a scholar? What is the current promotion method you use for scholars?
The promotion method that we use for scholars is Indeed job posts. So we post on Indeed.com to attract people who's looking for a job. And we spend quite a bit of money there as well for the advertisements. In order to attract the scholars, the amount of time, it's pretty much instantaneous. We already have hundreds of scholars that's sort of in waiting. And the reason why we're holding off is because we wanted to make sure that we close this round properly, this fundraising round, and get it done properly. Then before we start onboarding more.
Mhm. Yeah. So what are the steps Salad Ventures have taken previously to enter into the Filipino market? And I'm not sure what this question precisely means, but I guess why the Philippines and what does it take to start hiring people there?
It's the same. I think it's the same answer. I think why the Philippines is because this Axie Infinity thing just sort of started in the Philippines. Therefore, it's it's the Philippines. How do we do it? How do we get in? Indeed ads really. It's that's sort of how we do it to attract. What I'm interested in is I'm interested in getting more scholars in South America and Latin America.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, one of the question actually is, are you looking to expand into new countries? And if so,
Already.
which ones? So, but yes, yeah.
Yeah. So we yes. And which countries? Venezuela, Brazil. These two are the very specific countries. I think mostly Venezuela. Why? Because again, a lot of them are already playing this game. They
By
will
the
be
way,
very
yeah, can I
familiar.
ask you, so why? It seems like it's so concentrated in some countries, like why Venezuela is so, like, I know there are many people making money there that way. So is it just simply some sort of a network effect? Once you have the critical mass, they just bring their friends? Or are there regulations, labor laws as such that it encourages it? Or is it simply the bad economic situation and people looking for ways to earn money? Why does it seem to be localized to a specific set of countries and doesn't seem to be that much popular in other countries?
I don't know. I'd like to know. Maybe we could add that to the list of questions. I do know that it's picking up very, it's huge in Venezuela, it's huge in Brazil. I've not heard of this being big in Argentina, in Puerto Rico. Never, it's not, I'm not hearing it there, right? I mean, of course, there are people playing, but it's not big. But Brazil, Venezuela, and Brazil, huge in Latin America, in Southeast Asia, Philippines. I tried Indonesia. So we're also running some job ads targeting Indo. I think out of like the 30 people who applied and passed and got through our application process, we offered 10 of them the scholarship, and we said turn up for training. Only one turn up. Yeah, yeah. I don't know why. Why is it like this in Indonesia? I don't know why this is. Um, we haven't tried the other Southeast Asian countries. We will, but it's just, I think I would like to diversify away from Philippines. And I think Venezuela and Brazil are two very, I guess, low-lying fruit countries that we can target immediately. So one very I think one very practical thing is if there's anybody in the X Culture program who sort of wants to help us manage that country, obviously we'd like to speak to you and we'll handle you through the entire the thing and yeah, we
Actually,
can work
that's a
help.
very, again, important. So yes, I mean, obviously we have some students here live, others, if you're at work or at school during the live meeting, as you will be watching it in the recording. So yeah, it seems like a great opportunity. To me, this seems like, something that you might want to try. And unlike a business that is boring and sort of, the proverbial TPS reports, all day at the office, here it seems like it's new, it's action, it's the future of the business. So you will definitely learn a lot in the process. Will you make a lot of money? Time will tell. But you will learn something about completely new models of business. And so if I were a student, I would jump on this opportunity. No, I'm serious. I mean, like, well, our participants, students, they are at the stage where they can afford to do something for the sake of learning and context, as opposed to, like, they don't have mortgages to pay yet. Most of them don't have families. So when I was that age, if I had an opportunity to join a team that is doing something different, that has the potential to revolutionize how we do business, I would jump on it. I mean, will I make the money? I don't know, but I will definitely have some sort of an experience that others don't. So because if you simply don't, get a job at McDonald's flipping burgers, you don't really learn anything there. You make some stable income, but nothing else. So here you have an opportunity to learn something that may determine your career path. Anyway, a few more. So we're pretty much out of time, and we want to be respectful of your time. I know it's close to midnight in Singapore, so just a few quick questions. Does Salad Ventures own XC Infinity and the Sandbox, or are they competitors?
Yeah, so I think whoever asked this question definitely needs to do a bit more homework before they can put together this report. Salad Ventures is we started off as a guild, so you can still call us sort of like a guild. X Infinity is a game. Sandbox is a game. Do we own them? Yeah, well, no, we have not invested in those games. So in the game companies, right? So technically, no, we don't own them. But Axie Infinity has tokens called AXS. So if you want to get some ownership into Axie Infinity, you can literally go to Binance or Coinbase and buy the AXS token. Do we own AXS tokens? Yeah, we do. Yeah, so I don't think that answers the question properly, because then the next question is, are they competitors? Yeah, wrong question to ask.
They're essentially tools in your sort of toolbox, so to speak, right? I guess use them as a platform. So
yeah.
There is another question, and I'm not, again, maybe even I should try to answer it for you. So what is your expansion budget? And I know that companies normally don't like questions like that, because it almost seems to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I would expect an answer. If you come up with a great idea, we will find the money to finance it. And if the idea is bad, then we will not invest any money in it. Is that correct? Or you have a specific number in mind?
I mean, what would be the expansion budget? Define expansion, right? It's the expansion budget is unlimited. That's the budget. That's why we'll keep building, we'll keep making money, we'll keep raising money, then we'll build some more, we'll raise some more, we'll list the tokens, which in a sense is also sort of raising money, right, from the public. So is there a budget? No, it's just like what Bas you said. It's just a lack of ideas that we fear, and a lack of ability to execute those ideas. It's not the budget. Like, that would be a really difficult question to answer, because there is no answer. The real answer to the expansion budget is as much as we need, really, as much as we can prove. Yeah, this is crypto. It's quite different from the real world I've learned in the last year or so. Yeah, very different. People are willing to take a lot more risks in the crypto space. And then, if ever any startup discovers a way to live forever, I guarantee you that's going to be coming from a crypto or blockchain company, not a regular startup, because only these kind of businesses get so much money thrown at them for stupid ideas, for craziest ideas. Yeah. Shamila, I'm just going to answer the next question. Access to Discord server. I think not at the moment. I mean, we maybe in the future, because we're opening the reason why is because we're also revamping our server. So if you go to our website, www.salad.ventures, you'll see that I've released a little bit more information there. I'm talking about Apollo Guild, which is the guild part of our project, right? Then there's Guild OS, and then there's Salad Academy. You could go to saladacademy.com and take the certificate for the only course that we have there at the moment, which is the Axie Infinity course, to learn more about the game and how we train our scholars. That's one thing that you could probably do on salad.academy. But going to salad.ventures, you'll see sort of a greater overview. And we're now putting together our sort of like our narrative, our brand. And in a couple of weeks, we'll be launching 3 Discord servers, one for Guild OS, one for Salad Academy, and one for Apollo Squad. So whatever, I mean, the current Discord that we have right now, we're winding it down already in order to move the right people to the correct Discord server. So you'll not get anything from there in any case. Hilani, you're welcome. Thank you for coming. Shamila, thank you for coming. Yeah, I think those are the
That's
questions.
pretty much it. So one quick update for you, Felix. So we were just looking at the numbers before the meeting started. So we have 76 teams working on your challenge in the late track and about 30 teams in the early track. So you'll have a little over 100 teams total. So it's
We have
one of the
100
more
teams working on this.
yeah, so it's one of the more popular companies this year. So it tells me
Wow.
that at the very least, the young people are interested in this form of business and seem to believe in it. So I hope there will be lots of good questions. I mean, good ideas coming from this pool. So it's about 700 people who chose your company to work on. So hopefully there will be some good input coming in. So we still have a few weeks to go. We'll have the results in early December. So we'll see how what they come up with.
I saw another question about, sorry if I can take the last one from Arlene Mark.
Oh,
which
yes,
is the
yes,
higher
it's in the Q&A. Sorry, yeah, I missed that. I was looking at the comments. Yes.
which is the higher goal? More scholars or greater investment? Are they probably equal? Getting investments in is not a goal because it's very, very easy. When you hit on the right idea, you hit on the right solution, and you can present it properly. Getting more scholars is also not a goal. I think it's not our goal. Our goal is to create the best systems, process, and products to organize and systemize the play to earn space for a start. And then after that, it's X to earn, it's Y to earn, it's Z to earn. It's all that stuff. That's the goal. The goal is not about the number of scholars. It's not about how much SLP they make. It's not about, like how many we're firing, how many setcoms we have. All that is completely irrelevant. The real goal that we're trying to the real problem that we're trying to solve is that there's just so much decentralization in the crypto space, in the blockchain world, that most people don't care. And when they don't care, you tend to leave a lot of money on the table in whatever project that they're working on. I believe that there is a huge opportunity for someone like us to come online and say, look, there is actually a better way to do this if we systemize and create a process around it. Play to earn, again, is one thing that we're targeting. It's one problem that we're addressing, that we're trying to fix. The X to earn, Y to earn, Z to earn, right? So maybe one tip, especially for the students who are live, as you do your research, read on decentralized autonomous organizations, DAOs, right? How do these things work? And here are a few more names for you to sort of Google News and search on Medium. So Medium is a great platform to get a lot of this information about play to earn. Right, so search for YGG, I said before. Search for a new one that's recently also raised some money called Merit Circle, MERIT Circle. Search for, let's say, Avocado Guild. Search for Blackpool. I think they're based in
What is it?
Blackpool. Blackpool. Yeah. These are search for Loot Squad, LOOT, Loot Squad. So all these have loads of they have got their own communities, they have got their own, so it's very similar in terms of how guilds are run. But please don't go in and ask them about the play to earn thing just and telling them that you're working on a Salad Ventures project. Because I think
Yes, please don't.
the last, I think, Bas, you laugh, right? But I think 2 years ago, I think it happened like more than once. It's like I think someone
No, no,
broke
you
our
have to be,
client or
that's,
something.
again, those of you watching now or the recording, yes, be very, very sensitive. So you don't want to, you don't want to do something that can sort of diminish that reputation or raise unnecessary questions from the competition or partners. I assume it's a globally dispersed, but still a very close-knit community, right? And so you always have to be careful about how you're perceived by the community.
Yeah, I really don't want their founders to be, dropping me a text on Telegram and saying, dude, like, who is this guy that you sent into my Discord channel? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know who this is.
So you guys, that's exactly the point. So you have to be always cognizant of, of some higher dynamics and imagine that it's your company. So yes, help as much as you can, but be always careful with the steps you take.
Yeah. So
Anyway,
before we end, maybe a last call for help also, a last open invitation. This South American managers are not the only roles that we have available. And it's not only full-time roles, right? Happy to work on a part-time basis if obviously there are other requirements in the student's life. But if there's any students who is participating in this program, even though they're not working on our project, but they probably won't know this. But I'm desperately hiring good people. Don't have to be super experienced, but in a few different expertise. Marketing is one, so branding, marketing, design, that sort, right? Community management is another. So if you like managing, I don't know, Discord servers, Telegram groups, and all that, that's something that I'm also actively hiring. We're also hiring HR people, senior, junior. If you used to work for a good boss and then you quit because your boss's boss was shit and you want to give your previous boss a job, I would probably like to hire your boss, your ex-boss. So HR, I put a huge importance on.
Yes.
So any junior, mid-level, or mid-career or late career HR professionals who's interested in the blockchain space, I would like to have a very serious conversation with. Finance, maybe, but it's not like investment type of finance because I think it's hard, but more like, I guess, I don't know, finance and accounting, maybe. I don't even know. But basically think about everything from like a multinational needs to hire. We're not a multinational yet, but we need to hire. And these are just some of the roles that we have available. And happy to work on a part-time basis also. So if you say I can only commit 20 hours a week, sure. So if you like, just reach out via email, and then Terence can help you out with the next steps.
Your industry reminds me of sort of Facebook and Google 20 years ago. So yes, getting a job at Google, for example, or Facebook or Yahoo, at that time, it was a very risky proposition. Nobody knew what they can do. People were used to jobs where you are on an assembly line, attaching parts, part A to part B, like real jobs, so to speak. And so everybody was like, who are those teenagers doing something in that Silicon Valley? And now, boom, it's become a major sector, and that's where the money was made. So it seems to me like everything related to crypto is like that. Yeah, nobody knows what's going to happen, but if you jump on that bandwagon early enough, you can really become, part of this big revolution. So anyway, thank you so much, Felix. I know it's a very late hour in Singapore. Thank you so much for finding the time for us. And students, well, it's kind of the ball is on your side of the field. Let's see what you come up with, and hopefully you will bring lots of good ideas, business leads, and maybe even some of you will get jobs in this industry.
Yeah,
thank you so
looking forward
much.
to it. Thanks so much, Bas. Thanks. I'll speak to you soon. Take care. Bye, guys. Thanks, Terence, for hopping on.
Bye-bye.
Bye.